My proposed topic is how traumatic brain injuries can have an effect on communication skills. There are many different forms of communication, and to start off, communication is a process of generating meaning by sending and receiving verbal and nonverbal symbols and signs. There are many different forms of communication. Some of them include interpersonal communication, interpersonal communication, group communication, public communication, and mass communication. In regards to traumatic brain injuries, I think the relevance would be in the group of interpersonal communication. So what is a traumatic brain injury? A traumatic brain injury is any disruption in the normal function of the brain. This can be from the brain cells, nerves, any tissue in the brain. It can be caused by a blow or hit to the head. Usually you see these results from sports injuries, car accidents, or altercations in the military. For example, if you have a friend who plays football, you may have seen them get tackled and slam their head on the ground as a very common cause of concussions. And the more concussions you get, the more it can lead to a brain injury. So how are communication skills affected? The first thing is language acquisition, which is when we learn to understand, produce, and use words to communicate. Obviously, someone who has a brain injury, it's harder for them to understand different words and meanings, especially when a lot is thrown at you. Another thing is slower speech rate. The typical person can speak around 125 to 175 words a minute, and those with brain injuries tend to speak slower and produce a lot less words. Perception is definitely thrown off. It's selecting, organizing, and interpreting information, and it's very hard because we don't see the world as people with brain injuries do. So it's definitely harder for them to organize and understand what some information means. Figurative speech is when you can't understand phrases that break semantic rules, like making a joke or not using the correct term for a phrase or word. It can be very confusing to those individuals. And also cues and symbols, they help to organize and understand and generate meaning. So being able to help those with traumatic brain injuries is really important. And communication-wise, there was a study that was done, and teachers would ask the students different questions, and they noticed that when they can't mentally organize information, the teachers would provide students with 3 to 4 step sequences for them to sort and organize more properly, and that helped them with their communication skills better, their language, and their writing. My overall thoughts is I think that it's important for us to help those with traumatic brain injuries, as communication can actually be lost. A lot of those with brain injuries are nonverbal, and it's important also for gestures, eye movements, just for them to really understand what you're saying or feeling, because a lot of them don't fully understand.